Hello, this is Dead Hamster. We're going to go ahead and get started with part 3, which is going to be setting up the actual section views for the course. So again, each section gets 4 views, north, east, south, or west. We have already created our sections in part 2. We've already created our course master objects in part 2. So now we have the section geometry, the surface geometry rather. We have the objects that are going to go into the actual game and be rendered. Let's go ahead and run the section view. And you can see it pulling each object and each section. Should be. There we go. And for each view, it's going to compare the object's verts and find any object that is further north, east, south, or west. It does not account for occluding geometry, so it's going to grab everything further north, east, south, or west. There's going to be a lot of extra objects that it doesn't need to render. It is easier to delete extra objects than to add missing objects. It's much more tedious and a much more involved process. Instead of just clicking and hitting delete, you have to find the object under the course master objects, create a clone of it with the exact same name, and then put it under the correct reference. Now for the Kart plugin, you can hit clone objects and it'll do that for you. It'll drop it into temp section, and then you can just drag it into the section that you need it to be in. And it keeps the original name so you don't have to worry about that as well. But it's still, again, very tedious process, much easier to delete, much quicker to delete. So not really a bad thing that it's such an ugly process. It gives you a good base to start, and then you can go through and fine tune everything by hand, which is what we'll have to do at the end. I think having those edit mesh modifiers is slowing me down, so I wish I had condensed those before starting it. Might have made a difference. Might not have. Can't say for sure. But this definitely does feel like it was a bit longer than the quick test I had done just a moment ago. So it'll go through again for each section view and calculate objects that can potentially be viewed. We're going to go through afterwards and cull out all the extra ones. And then after that, we'll be setting up our course objects, which is the paths for the AI and the item boxes and any trees or any other objects. Now for this one, we're not going to do any trees or piranha plants. It wouldn't really fit, but the item boxes, we'll put a few on the course in case versus mode ever gets played. So, working on the last, second to last section here. All right. And moving on to the last section now. So definitely is taking much longer. It has to be the edit mesh modifiers, having to create those again perhaps, I'm not sure, but not normally this long of a process. Last time it took 54 seconds. So the exact same objects, exact same sections. Let's see how long it takes this from, because it already feels like it's been quite a bit longer. Gives me time to relax. And here we go. 5 minutes, Jesus, almost 6 times longer, yeah. I don't know, 5, 6, a lot longer. Collapse your modifiers, which I'm actually going to make use of right now. There we go. There we go. So you can see that even though we had a relatively small course, our total scene is up to 10,000, over almost 11,000 triangles. So if you don't have a nice computer like me, these complicated courses can definitely start to hog a lot of resources on your system. It's just the easiest way to represent things, and you'll see that right now actually as I'm going to hide everything. So if this was section 1 surface, again, this is going to be the collision that we would interact with. So if we were driving on these polygons and facing north, facing this direction, we would be rendering these objects here. And I can't argue with that. That's pretty darn good. There are a few things missing, and we're going to add those in right now. So what I want to add is that strip and this strip, and that's it. Everything else is good. For complicated courses, and I'm actually going to do this for a couple of these. Here we are in section 1 north. Notice that we're not selecting these objects. We're selecting the ones inside section 1 north. This is very important. I'm just going to delete them because there's no way that they could ever be seen by someone here facing north in this section. Here facing north. Just couldn't be done. So we can get rid of those. This here can also be deleted. On this side, no, these objects need to stay. So this door should stay. We're just going to keep the door. It's 6 faces. It's not a big deal. But there we go. That's going to be section 1 north. Now we need to add a few objects back in. You know, now that I think about it, nah, there's no way. No way you could see that. But we're going to add it back in anyway because we're not hurting for triangles here. We have plenty of geometry. So this, and I think it was this here, right? Yeah, this and that. We're going to hit clone objects. Under temp section, you'll see the same objects with the same name. We're going to drag those into section 1 north. Hide the course master objects. And now this is the view we would get in section 1 facing north. In total, 400 triangles, very manageable for the system. And can move on. So for other courses, again, you would want to try to find objects that you don't need to render, that you could get rid of, that you could hide, because you're going to want to keep this within 800 to 1,000 triangles. We're at 400. I mean here, yeah, 400. So we have nothing to worry about. We're just going to check section 1 east now. I'm sorry. There we go. Also 400 triangles. It's good. Again, if I was really picky, I would get rid of that, and probably that, and this. I would leave that one. That can go. The big one will keep. Even that one will keep. Maybe you could see it. Again, I don't have to be picky here, but I know there's plenty of stuff the player can't see under 400 triangles there. This stuff, though, I don't like that. I would like all of this to be rendered, because section 1 goes up to there. So I'm going to go back into here. And this is why, this is the tedious part. Selecting all of this. And we're just going to clone objects again. Drag them into section 1 east. While you have them highlighted, do a quick browse and see if you've added any duplicates. In this case, yep, looks like I have one extra. I added 17 part 0 here, which is the windows. The windows were already caught, so we're going to delete the extra one. Section 1 east should be good now. Yep, just shy of 500 triangles, so that is a bit high for this course, but that's 300 underneath what I would consider to be the low threshold, so not a problem. We're never going to run into a problem here. Section 1 south. Looks good. I'll delete these again, but otherwise. I just have a feeling that you might be able to. I don't want to have anything pop in or out of view, but that I can definitely kill. So 500 triangles again, no problem. And section 1 west, less than 400. Everything's in view, looks good. Moving on, section 2, and we're just going to go through, double check, make sure everything looks good. Try to check some angles. Again, we're looking as this is the surface. If I was facing north, I'd grab all of these objects. Now remember, north can be a tricky concept. So this is north, facing 90 degrees straight, but so is 45 this way and 45 that way. Until you actually turn east, you're still considered to be facing north. So if I was, for example, sitting on this triangle here and facing this direction, this is still north, and this is still the display list that's going to be rendered. And I want to make sure that I'm not going to be able to not see things that I'm supposed to. I have to say that I don't think I would. I'm going to add a couple pieces of the house just to have them there, but there we go. And we'll also add this and this here. Again, we have a lot to work with, no reason not to. Oh goodness, I just realized we don't have the wall. I don't know why. Turn off the surface. Okay, that definitely looks good. I had to do a little bit of tweaking for that one. As you can see, again, adding the objects can be a little bit more tedious than deleting them. Let's check out east. That's the surface. Yeah, east is fine. South. South is going to be a lot. We might have to cull some from, I mean, we don't have to, but just under 500. What is that, the whole course, really? So, I'm going to have to add these. There we go. So again, I could go around and try to find some triangles to get rid of, but for of course this basic, we won't need to. There we go. And then west, finally. Also looking good. Section 2 done. Section 3 now. Oh my, this is a big one. This is probably just going to be the whole course. I wouldn't imagine it not being. Yeah, seems like it. Oh, east. What does east look like? East is fine. But I would like those as well for east. I'm being, again, very liberal with this course. Normally I'd be much more conservative with the parts that I add in, but I really don't feel that this is a course I'm going to have any issue with. Yeah, okay, that's the surface. I just lost it for a second. I was like, wait, why am I not drawing that? Alright, so that's good. North is fine. South is fine. Yeah. What is it in north that's not in there? Oh, what, that little piece? I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's 4 triangles. I'm curious which 4 triangles they are. Section 3 is going to be a very big, and I always knew it would be along this stretch here. But I suppose one of the things I can do for it that would help quite a bit, actually, would be to get rid of this. Everything but west, I imagine I can do that. The reason this will be so good is there's 2 materials that I'm going to be completely removing, and that way I don't even have to load those in those views. So that'll be good. All right, on to the next, section 4. So pretty much the mirror opposite. Let's see. We're going to need to add back to north. Could kill that. Sure. Kill that too. That should be good for east. A lot of times, because it only grabs the positions of the verts, you'll have a situation where like you're going from one section to the next and it doesn't grab these immediate objects. You don't want that because then you're going to be driving and suddenly the course would disappear from behind you. It's going to be jarring to the other player. Northeast, south. Ooh, this is no good. And duplicates, I already saw two, but I don't think there are any more. Nope. So let's see what it looks like now. There we go, much more respect. Oh, I'm still missing the entire wall. There we are. Very good, very good. And finally, west. Which is perfect. All right, rounding out the bend, section 5. So just about finished here, going through all these section views, double checking them all, making sure they all look good. Section 5 is this last bit here, looking north. I'm sorry. There we go, jeez. North is good. East has a little bit to be desired. And adjust that. No duplicates, good. Alright, east looks good. And again, normally I would be cutting out objects like this. I'll even go ahead and do that just for sake of it. Another good example here. We want to include this for sure. And section 5 west. Good, very good. And section 6, again, is all going to be out of bounds, so I'm not too concerned about it, but we'll take a quick peek anyway, see if anything seems rough. This one. Yeah, we're going to need a bit more from that. Alright, that should do it. And take all of these, drop them on west. And that's it. Our section views are done. So, very tedious process, very involved, it sucks, but unfortunately it's one of the things that has to be done, and this is the easiest way to do it. You can visualize it in a 3D environment, decide which objects do and don't need to be part of your section views, and add and remove them from each of the nodes that designate each section and view. Again, it's a process and it sucks, but until someone can come up with a way to handle this without having to do that, and getting the kind of results that you need, unfortunately, there's nothing else that we can do. You know, you can go through some automated processes like I've made here. You can make more precise ones that, you know, do ray casting and things of that nature, which I've attempted. But in the end, you're really going to want to fine tune things to get within that 800 to 1,000 faces and accurately account for what can be seen from any position in that surface. So it is, again, a tedious process, but sometimes some things being done by hands does need to be done, and this is, at this moment, is one of those things. We're going to, again, cut real quick and then come up with part 4, where we'll, I don't even know what I need to do next now. Let me think. Creating my section views. I know I need to create the paths and objects. I think that's it. Yeah, then I think we're exporting. So almost done here. I'm going to go ahead and save this again, take a quick pause, stretch my legs, and get ready for part 4. Stay tuned.